am Peggy Kelly, and this is Candidates Chat, an update with the candidates for the Santa Paula City Council. And I have candidate Leslie Cornejo with me right now, and we're going to talk about her campaign and her interests and everything at all. And good morning there, Leslie. Nice seeing you.
Same to you, Peggy.
Yes, and do you want to tell us a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a grandmother. I am a business owner. I've owned Santa Paula Travel since 1988. My husband Enrique and I bought it that many years ago. So we've been serving the community and getting to know the community since then. It's given me the opportunity to do a lot of volunteer work. I was a seroptomist for 15 years. Did the fashion shows with Peggy for some years. Right. With even my sons participating as models, so family's been involved. Been on the Santa Paula Police and Fire Foundation, was co-chair of Moonlight at the Ranch for 3 years and raising money for public safety, and was founding director of Santa Clara Valley Bank. So been involved in Santa Paula for many years in a lot of different ways.
And you also are on the Ventura County Fair Board.
Yes, I'm an appointed member of the Fair Board, have been there for 12 years now, and I'm the current president.
Yes, current president. I know, I never know if it's president, chair, you know, whatever, but whatever it is, you have to
Depends on the organization, right?
There you go. There you go. Now, what basically, how's it going on the campaign trail?
It's a really strange year to campaign because you can't do events, you can't do gatherings, so it's kind of hard to get group feedback, you know, in the rallies and all of that. It's just not out there. So it's kind of a quiet campaign, but the feedback has been fantastic. Yesterday we were putting up a big banner on 10th and Santa Paula, and people were driving by and honking and waving and saying, I already voted for you. And so it's been a really positive experience. Getting to know those that I haven't known already, just more on a one-on-one basis, because it's by phone or just individual little meetings because we can't have those big events. So it's been going well. What have the voters been telling you, what their concerns are, or if you know, I mean, what's the sense you're getting from the residents, as it were? In general, we just talk about quality of life, you know, improving the streets, the city itself. I sense some hope. I really do, that we're headed in a positive direction. The things that I'm seeing concern about, there's a lot of talk about supporting our police. That's just, it's a national and it's a local issue, and so that really concerns me, that our public safety folks are getting kind of a bad rap, I feel. And so a lot of people are concerned about that and stepping up, wanting to make sure that our police officers and staff and all those involved in public safety know that they're supported. And the other issue, probably our water and sewer rates. Water went up because of the size of the ID of the pipes. Apparently made an adjustment, but then that affected our sewer rates as well because they're connected. So people are really feeling the pain for those sewer bills. And even I'm seeing people are saying they're not watering their lawns to save money, which, you know, it doesn't make our neighborhoods look any better that they can't take care of their lawns. So it's a financial and a visual issue for our town. And so I believe the city's starting to work on this problem and trying to get those rates in line, because there are some rules and laws and propositions that have passed that would affect that, and we should be able to get those sewer rates down. So I have been pledging to work on that for everybody. So
yeah, it's been a real concern, you know. I mean, it really has. We've got the second highest sewer rates in the county, and ironically, the other city that has the highest is Fillmore, which is even smaller than we are. And of course, part of that is because of the size and spreading out the pain and things like that. But
there are formulas where we could adjust it. Now that could mean lower revenues for the city, so we need to find other ways to fill in that revenue, but maybe not on the backs of low-income people and fixed-income seniors that really are taking a hit with that. So
So I understand that if we save somewhere, we need to raise it somewhere else. But I think it would be more fair to do it that way. So
sure, absolutely, and of course that would take some study of the whole budget and the whole thing. So
exactly.
Yeah, interesting. I could see where that is a concern.
Yeah.
Now, and is that personally also your own concerns as far as going into office if you're elected? That would be one of your top priorities, to study the budget and study especially the sewer funds.
I've done a lot of work on budgets. Being on the bank board, we reviewed and dove deep into audits and budgets for many, many years. I think I was on the board for 14 years. And then likewise, the multi-million-dollar budget at the fairgrounds, and I'm on the budget committee there. So I wouldn't say I'm a CPA because I'm not, but I'm familiar and a quick learn on budget issues. And so I do feel that I could help and get up to speed quickly and help the city try to find ways to save money, spend it wisely, and also revenues. We need to work on our revenues too. Our tax base is a big thing for me. Yeah.
Now, how would you see doing that as far as raising the tax base?
I feel, well, there are a couple of ways, and you have two different tax bases. One is property taxes, and that affects schools, not so much the city budget, but so you want to make sure that you have a healthy balance of housing that our property tax base producing, so that our schools can be supported. And then the other is sales tax, and we need to work on our sales tax by bringing in more businesses. I'd love to see, an example is waiting to see what's going to happen out at Kmart, but also there are many businesses that could be encouraged to come to town, and boutiques, restaurants, and that sort of thing that would improve our quality of life, make it more fun to live here, more convenient to be able to shop here, and then likewise give additional sales tax to give the city the money that it needs, because the city, we demand services, but they can't provide the services unless we have the revenue for that. We can't fill those unfilled police positions unless we have revenue to do that. So it's a matter of looking where our assets are, spending them wisely, but making sure we've got revenues to cover that too. So I would work on that. I would work on being business friendly, making sure that the city is user friendly and business friendly to help everyone get their businesses in as quickly as possible, so that we can get rolling and be known as a city that's business friendly.
Now, why did you decide to run for council, Leslie?
I like being busy. I like being involved in wherever I am. Being in business in town for some 30 years, 32, I think we've owned the business.
Did you buy the business from Donna Nelson?
No, that was a different agency. We actually bought it from the Hanks. I have to think back. It was a lot of years ago. Back in '88, we bought it from the Hanks. Yes. Yeah, bought an existing agency, and I have background bilingual. I used to work for a Mexican airline, and so Enrique and I were able to step right in and serve the whole community when we bought the agency. So we've been serving everyone in the language in which they choose to speak and feel most comfortable in talking about dollars and flight numbers and all of that. And feel like we really know the whole community and can serve everyone. And I come from a family that does believe in public service. My kids are grown, they have houses, careers. So I have the time to devote to the city, and I just really feel like I like to give back, and I'd like to see if I can help make the city better.
Well, that's a very, very good reason,
Thanks.
That really is. Now, I know you're not shy, so it hasn't been a problem with you to go out and talk to people and things like that. And what basically do you think? What kind of feedback are you getting as far as like the issue of defunding the police? I know you've made that a cornerstone of your campaign. The fact that that you strongly question that. Let's put it.
That's really turned out to being if not the topic, one of the hot topics of the year, as I said, not only nationally but locally. And I was just really distressed to see that there's just suddenly this trend of not giving our public servants and our safety officers and first responders and the respect that they have earned by, dedicating their careers to our safety. And I do think that they could use more people working with them to make it easier for them to serve and do things properly. They always can do better training and make sure they're better equipped. But it doesn't mean that you just throw them away and try and reinvent the whole system. And I'm the kind of person that just works within the system. I don't want to tear things down. I just want to improve. There always is room for improvement, making it better for the citizens and for the employees. So I've been very distressed at this kind of throw everything away and start from scratch kind of attitude and reinvent our society. I love our city. I love the folks are in our city that I know as friends and as clients. And I just think that we can all work together to make things better without being destructive and throwing things away. And if there are some people that are unserved, we need to work to get to them too.
What would you see as supplementing police or making things better for police? What would you give me?
My sense is that they could actually just use the frozen positions filled, which takes time. So we ought to start on that right now so that we can build up to a full force, and then make sure that they do have the training. One problem with training people is if you have too few people, you can't spare them to get away for training because they're on the job. So having a better filled force gives you that opportunity to have them go out and do the training that would enable them to do some of these things like the de-escalation issues and mental health issues. It's very important training. We need to make sure that they are trained. Our county has wonderful programs, and our police officers really are well trained. But there's more to do. We can always be better. Everyone can be better trained, better equipped. And I think that's a better way of approaching it than just wiping it out and starting from scratch. I don't believe that. And I really am concerned about the lack of respect for our public safety officers. And just want to make sure they know that we all care. That's what I'm seeing out and it wasn't an issue so much when I started this. It's something I've always believed in, and yet suddenly it became a very hot topic because people are so concerned. So I just want to ensure people that if when I'm elected, I'm told to say when elected, I will step in and make sure that they're taken care of. So.
And also, as far as the police department, do you think that they could maybe do? I know they're doing a little more, public relations as far as it were. And do you think there's more they could do? I know that they would like to do more community policing, but doesn't community policing, that means you need more officers?
Exactly. Yeah. I'd love to see them do that. And I'd love to see them do some youth programs. If we've got Measure T monies for youth, why not run it through some youth programs through the police? That creates good relationships with our kids, and also gives them an opportunity to do outreach to the kids and their families. And so then you build those relationships so it isn't so adversarial. So I think that's one way that we could do that is by perhaps looking at some youth programs being run through, or at least assisted by or run through the police. And again, that means staffing. That means making sure that that they have the time and the resources to do it. But I think having great relationships and that relationship building with our police officers would be really important.
Yes, very good point. Now, hemp is an issue now. Hemp, I should say, actually dispensaries. So it's not hemp; it's the actual other stuff that's become an issue again. How do you stand on the city having dispensaries, cannabis dispensaries?
I will never say never on something that could potentially bring in revenues to the city. But I have said before, and I do believe that I just think that having that be a basis for our, hanging our budget on hemp and dispensaries and all is probably not wise. We should be improving our tax base. If we worked with law enforcement and families and they all felt that this is something that everyone could cope with without having a detrimental effect on our community, then I would consider it. I wouldn't, I can't say how I would vote on it until I saw how it was presented, but certainly I'm open to any ideas for revenue. But I really think that there are other opportunities besides that. That being said, I do really understand the medicinal benefits, and I am more of a individual freedom type of person. So, I don't like telling people how to live and what they should do to be happy, but I just want to make sure we're taking care of our community and our kids at the same time.
Interesting, because it probably will come back to the council.
I feel it's very nuanced, which makes it very difficult.
Yes.
It's very hard to say black and white when there could be some budget benefits. But again, you have to make sure that you're not doing something to your society in a negative way at its expense. So it'd have to be really carefully studied before I could agree to it. So.
Okay, good answer. Anything that you see in the council's future coming up that or anything you'd like to bring to the council? Would there be anything in particular you would be bringing to the council as far as a subject for them to?
Again, I want to study those sewer and water rates, make sure that we do have a planning department that is user-friendly and is rolling out red carpets to anyone who wants to get their projects done in the city and get their businesses up and running. So I'd like to put a great emphasis on that. I am a bit concerned about resolutions. A lot of times I feel like resolutions that are coming to the city sometimes are not good work. They are making public statements, general emotional statements, but sometimes I think we get caught up in those so much we forget to do the day-to-day work. So I'm not a person who likes to go on and on and on about discussing an issue forever. I think you need to do that separately. Bring your arguments to the city and then advocate for the citizens. And just, my question is always going to be, and everybody needs to be ready, how is this going to help our city? What are we doing? What are we spending a half an hour talking about? Unless this is going to help our community. We sometimes get all caught up in the little details and the nuances and this and that. And I really think that we have to make sure that whatever question we have is, how is this going to help Santa Paula? What are we doing here? Can we spend our time and our money on something different? Because the emphasis needs to be on making our city better.
Now, of course, owning a travel agent and being a tour conductor or actually a companion at and everything like that, you've been obviously all over the world. And how do you see Santa Paula as far as just, I know that I've talked to people and they just say, well, they travel, they do this, but there's no place like home. So do you think that Santa Paula has a, it's your home, you've had your business here for a long time, you live here, all that other stuff. And how do you think the rest of the county sees Santa Paula?
Well, sometimes we get a bad rap. And I see that for a time I lived in Oxnard, and somehow I managed to live in a couple of cities that kind of don't get respect from the rest of the county is how I feel. And they're gems, and Santa Paula is a real gem. It really is. You cannot beat the weather. You've got all this gorgeous hills, valleys. It's just a wonderful community. It's a wonderful place to live and work. I take people to places and we have so much fun, and people trust me to take care of them for weeks at a time. I've taken hundreds and hundreds of people from Santa Paula personally to different countries so that we can learn about other places in the world. I love that. I love learning about different governments. We've been to Cuba, we've been to Russia, we've been to Scandinavia, we've been to Mexico. We go everywhere. And it's a great lesson in connecting with the rest of our world. I love going, but I always love coming home. I love this community, and it makes me appreciate what we have all the more. You know, there are wonderful places in the world, but we live in a really special place.
We really do. And Oxnard too is also more than just a pretty name.
Yes, exactly. I know. That's been an ongoing issue. Change the name of some of our property values. Yeah, I know.
Whoever came up with that had a great sense.
I know. Well, it's a historic name, so that's why it sticks. But you know, it's too bad because, you know, it's such a wonderful place, and maybe we can do a little better at our public relations countywide. And that helps when we create those businesses and those boutiques and the restaurants so that many more people will come and get to know us. So.
Well, and it's true because people very often when they come to Santa Paula, they're just absolutely astonished at how wonderful it is. And because maybe they've heard something bad about it somewhere. And, but I think that's going away. I
do too.
I do. I think people are starting to appreciate and seeking out Santa Paula. So
they really are. They're moving away from the metropolitan into communities like ours, and they really appreciate it. So
that's great. Yeah. Any last thing you'd like to say that I didn't ask you, or any comment you have?
I just appreciate your doing this for us today, so I can help get the message out. It's just so difficult in a COVID world to even get your message out at all, aside from throwing out signs and doing advertisements. So I really appreciate this opportunity to actually be seen as a person rather than a picture in a newspaper or something like that. So I appreciate that. It's just a wonderful experience, and I do hope that people will look at the issues carefully and everybody vote. And of course, I hope that they will vote for me as well. So
okay, great. Well, good luck on November 3rd. And we'll talk to you soon. And thank you so much for being with us today. And once again, that was Leslie Cornejo, who's running for Santa Paula City Council. And she's one of our candidates that we're talking to today. And we're going to be covering all four. So thank you so much, Leslie. You have a great day.
Thanks again, Peggy, and to KADY for doing this. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. We'll talk to you all later.